Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. When the days were completed for their purification, according to the law of Moses, Mary and Joseph took Jesus up to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord, just as it is written in the law of the Lord. Every male that opens the womb shall be consecrated to the Lord, and to offer the sacrifice of a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, in accordance with the dictate in the law of the Lord. Now, there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Simeon. This man was a righteous and devout man, awaiting the consolation of Israel, and the Holy Spirit was upon him. It had been revealed to him by the Holy Spirit that he should not see death before he had seen the Christ of the Lord. He came in the Spirit to the temple, and when the parents brought in the child Jesus to perform the custom of the law in regard to him, he took him into his arms and blessed God, saying, "Now, Master, you may let your servant go in peace, according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you prepared in the sight of all peoples, a light for revelation to the Gentiles, and glory for your people, Israel." The Gospel of the Lord. One of the things I like about being Catholic, we just don't want to get rid of Christmas. We're still singing Christmas songs in celebration. But insofar as Christmas is about the revelation of Jesus Christ to come among us, we're constantly doing this, even at every Mass. But we celebrate today in the presentation of the Lord in the temple. This Mass is nicknamed, does anybody know what the nickname of this Mass is? Who said Candle Mass? A+ in my theology class for you. Advance to the front of the class. Candle Mass because traditionally this feast has been marked by the blessing of candles and processions if people would bring their candles to the church. As we announced last week, you were welcome to bring your candles to the church to have them blessed today. And so this also falls just before the feast of St. Blaise, so that blessed candles can be used to bless throats, which we will do that after Mass as well. Like the presentation of Jesus by Mary and Joseph, at baptism we are presented to the Lord by our loving parents. We're presented to God. And this is not a mere dedication or a vision of a career plan or a career path. For us, baptism is a heart and a soul and a mind oriented toward heaven. And so, godparents receive a baptismal candle. And when it is lit, there's a prayer that goes something like this: "This light is entrusted to you to keep burning brightly. This child has been enlightened by Christ," and that's by baptism, "always to walk as a child of light. And may this child keep this flame of faith alive in their heart. And when the Lord comes, may they go out to greet him with all the saints in the heavenly kingdom. I don't know if you've noticed it by now, but the connection of baptism, the words of Simeon, they're all oriented toward a life in intimacy with God, but at the same time, there's a kind of a message that says, I'm ready for death. In Simeon, then, you see all the baptized. You see all the baptized that will be. It's the calling of the whole world to hold and to cherish Jesus Christ, who is the antidote for death. To hold and to cherish Jesus Christ, who is the light of the world, light from light, true God from true God. Our candles, then, namely our baptismal candles, they show the world that Christ is the light that shines in darkness, and the darkness will not overcome that light. Like Simeon, then, we're living candles. And Jesus would say it beautifully, you are the light of the world, because Christ lives in you by baptism and his grace. Like Simeon, we help the world see that the light of Christ is in us, and the light of Christ is in our hearts that are set on fire, flaming with the love of the Sacred Heart of Jesus Christ. Candles that bring light into the world that seems to be often enwrapped in darkness. Like Simeon, then we hold and carry Christ in our hands, in our heart, in our mouth, in our soul. The beginning of the holding of Christ is symbolized in the baptismal candle, where the whole body and soul and mind and heart is illuminated by the grace of Jesus Christ among us. And so, what's interesting is that this reception of Christ never stops coming to us in Eucharist. And so we're always personally called to renew and cherish Christ. In the same way, Simeon, it's interesting when every time I read this, when I see what Simeon does, I'm envisioning Mary. She must have consented to him taking the child out of her hands, but it almost sounds like he just literally grabbed the baby out of her hands and started to hold it. I'm sure she gave it to him, but Simeon is so zealous to hold Christ, as we must be when we come to Holy Communion, to be so zealous to take Christ, to receive him and savor him. Simeon does all this in preparation for his death. And we are baptized for the same reason. Our baptism is to prepare us to transcend death and rise to new life in Jesus Christ. I was thinking about this, and what came to my mind is the notable Kobe Bryant. Catholic news agencies reported that Kobe Bryant was baptized, a Catholic. What a gift his parents gave him, to be baptized and filled with the light of Christ. But not only that, he continued to pass this gift on to his children. Before that fated helicopter crash that morning, he went to Mass with his daughter and received Holy Communion. Yes. He was prepared in the light of Christ. And so none of us can afford to retire our baptismal candles, can we? For at our death, we will experience our own personal Calvary. But we believe and trust that Christ is the true light of the world, to save us from the kingdom of darkness and bring us into his kingdom of light.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia.